Someone, anyone, could I get a hand, please? Whew, thank you. Welcome back to Creepy Kitties Creations. I had planned on doing just a simple Q&A, but as you can see, I had a bit of a problem. Namely, my studio being an absolute disaster. I barely had anywhere safe to put Enid while she waited for her face up, so I needed a big clean. It's really embarrassing that I let it get this bad. So I'm combining the Q&A video with this studio cleanup / redecorating video. It'll be so nice to have it looking pretty for once. And I'll answer some questions as we go. Let's get started. Right, I think first things first with a Q&A. For those of you who don't know me, I am Creepy Kitty and I'm a doll customiser, author, book cover designer and interior formatter from New Zealand. I used to be a kitchen designer, but a chronic illness sort of ended that, which is why I started writing. My pen name is e.l.julian and I predominantly write horror, various types of horror, supernatural horror, gothic horror is my all-time favourite. When I customize dolls, I quite often print off my reference pictures and have them in front of me. Like this one here is for Edward Elric's Automail, so I might just pop these in here for now. Here are the references for Enid, which I'm really looking forward to doing next and having the room to do it. Our first question is from Sharoni, which is what inspired you to get into doll customization? Let's see, around that time I wrote a novelette called Mary's Calling, which is about a creepy, possessed, haunted doll, and I really, really wanted that doll, like, right in front of me. The working blurb for the book at the moment is, "Never leave her alone." Mayu, a lonely little girl in Meiji-era Japan, is given a beautiful doll for her 6th birthday. Porcelain face, Western-style dress with frills, a pearl necklace that shines like a string of tiny stars, and a wind-up crank to make her sing, "Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? With silver bells and cockle shells and pretty maids all in a row." But as strange, often violent events unfold and Mary starts to scare Mayu's mother, Hiroe, they all learn that Mary has a mind of her own, and she's not afraid to use it to get what she wants, or to get rid of whoever she doesn't like. The first chapter of this is actually available to anyone who signs up for my newsletter, which you can find on my website or linked in the description below. At the time I thought doll customizing would be far too expensive to get one made for me, so I looked into making one myself. And that's how I got in the hobby, and yet I still haven't made her. I got started, and this is as far as I got with their outfit. But yeah, it was my lockdown project, and I started learning how to do it, and I ended up loving it so much that I've been doing it for the last 4 years or so. So I still need to make Mary, and I'm very much looking forward to making her once I get her story released and published. Right, let's straighten things out a little bit. I'm making this drawer my puppet drawer for all of the supplies for puppets, and now I just need to clean everything, just pull it apart so I can have a completely new setup. And this stand really isn't cutting it, but there is a deeper one I have in the wardrobe here. Oh, you'll love this. This fabric is what I'm going to be using for Katrina from Sleepy Hollow. I've started her and I've got the corset done, but I want to make this full outfit with the cape and everything. So that's one of my long-term projects. And I got this little guy from Japan when I was visiting Tokyo, and he reminded me of Ulrich Bernison from The Golden Compass, who I absolutely adore. And one of these days I want to make him the armor, so he's got his sky armor with him. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Okay, stand secured. So I thought a general question I've been asked is what art tools I use. I use Faber-Castell watercolour pencils, the artist quality. I also managed to get these shipped during lockdown, which was really, really lucky. I thought I was going to have to wait a really long time for them, but I've been using them ever since, and I mean, hardly any of them are worn down to a nub, so they last a really long time. So they're really a great investment. Wee side note on tools is I use Mr. Superclear UV Cut Flat. There are only 2 stores in all of New Zealand that sells it, and they only get it in every 6 months, I just discovered. So that explains why I'm on my last can, because I missed that window. So yeah, every 6 months, that's it. For pastels, I use these Mungyo soft pastels, and again, they last a really long time because I've been doing this for years, and I just scrape a bit off with an X-Acto blade, and look how well they're still lasting. So again, another very good investment. Some of them are starting to look a bit like an hourglass though, which is kind of funny. Also have 2 or 3 pan pastels, but they're more on the expensive side, so I've really only got white and skin colour. I also have Derwent watercolour pencils, which I don't use as often as the Faber-Castell, but this particular set has such a huge array of colours, I couldn't say no. And when you wet your paintbrush and put it onto the tip of the pencil, that has such strong colour payoff that it is really, I need to use them more often. These are the pastel palettes I use. I just scrape them into, the top one's a plastic palette and then the bottom one's ceramic. And these are the pan pastels, which I have in cream, white and black. And I use these gloves to protect my nails while I'm spraying Mr. Superclear, and just the plain cotton ones to keep the doll head clean while I'm painting. Next question is also from Sharoni. How do you choose a project? Is there like a list and you just go down the list? Or is it a pick from a hat situation? When I feel like making a doll, I actually go and I Google all the images if it's an existing character, and I keep them on my phone like this in groups, and I list them based on which one. So Enid's first, and then the Queen of Hearts. But I move them around depending on how I'm feeling, so it is actually kind of erratic. I don't pick from the list, and I don't necessarily do it in order. It depends on how I'm feeling, because the Queen of Hearts is actually partway done, but I really want to make this doll from Squid Game, so I'm actually probably going to do her after Enid, just as a bit of a palette cleanser, because she's so much simpler than Enid. But Enid's first, because I've got to do her face up, so I've got all of the references in my phone as well. And then I also want to make the zombie from All of Us Are Dead. Not a specific character, just a random zombie. So I've actually got part of that. I get a lot of part projects done. I'd also really like to make Armanette sometime. I know the movie was awful, but her character design is stunning. That I just have to make her sometime. I love this character. I was rooting for her to win the whole movie. And it will be nice to not have to technically make an outfit. I can just glue it onto the body, which will be a bit of a refreshing change as well. So I'm hoping that if I pick some simpler dolls in between the more complicated ones, I can get some done quicker while also still having fun. So that's really the main criteria when I'm picking dolls, is what ones I feel are the most fun at the time. Katrina's going to be a long haul project, because I want to make all of the undergarments for the outfit as well, because I think that's quite important with historical outfits, and I also want to do all of that embroidery on her cape. Most people do the stripy dress, which I will do eventually, but I actually love this yellow dress the best from the movie, so I want to make that one. And that's pretty much my process. It's pretty erratic, sorry. The next question comes from Sarah A. about what type of dolls I like to collect. Well, this one might be a little bit disappointing because I don't collect BJDs or anything. I enjoy collecting these little pop vinyls, especially the horror ones, like Annabelle. I think they're really cute. And I've got a lot of Monster High dolls in my stock box, but I wouldn't really say that I collect them per se. Funny thing is, what I actually like to collect we'll need to go to another room for. So come with me. Not exactly the decor you would expect from a horror writer. I know. I love the cute cottagecore vibes. Now, let there be light. Bing! So dolls that I like to collect are actually plushies. Yeah, I know. So I got the little penguin in the corner there, cat, a mummy, and while I was in Japan, I also collected plushies from different areas. And I found this guy the other day, Snorlax. I've been wanting one forever, but I couldn't find one that was a decent price. And he's just so cute. Just looking at him brings out my happy. And then we've got the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz, which was on sale because of our EB Games, which is our main game store closing, sadly. This is Duffy. She's from Disney Sea in Tokyo. And we've got a chocobo there sitting and reading his book, as well as a hand-crocheted Mummy and Snoopy. And some pastel plushies. The little parrot is actually a gift from my twin sister. And I love him so much. And she also picked out the Snoopy for me at Universal Studios Japan. And then there's a Mickey Mouse Squishmallow, the graduation bear from when I graduated from my interior design degree, a Moogle that I knitted before my hands decided to give up the ghost, and the little orange deer is Shikamaru-kun. He's the mascot for the city Nara, where you can go feed the deer in Japan. So I got him from Nara, and we've got Inuyama-kun up here, which he's from Inuyama, which I went to the hot springs at. And we've got Gachapin Hello Kitty. Gachapin is kind of like the Japanese version of Barney. And we've got a Halloween daisy that I got back in 2009 when I went to Japan with my school. And my host family took me to Disney Sea, and it happened to be Halloween. And the decor was so pretty, and I'm so glad that I have her as a memento because it just brings back all the memories. And of course Totoro. You can't go to Japan without getting a Totoro plushie. I discovered this little mini ironing board and I just had to have it. It's so cute. Next question is also from Sharoni. Can you list the books you've been featured in for those of us who'd like to read them? Oh, thank you. I have several pieces in 2 anthologies, 100 Ways to Die and Cryptids and Conspiracies, which I'll talk a bit more about later. And I've also got a novella out called Scritch, The Legend of Teketeke. I'll put the link in the description of where you can get that from. But if you want to read the first 5 chapters, it's available for free on my website. And the short stories from the Cryptids and Conspiracies anthologies are also for free on my website if you'd like to read them. But one bonus about buying anthologies is that there's a lot of other stories from a bunch of other writers. So if you enjoy short stories that in the horror genre and you want to read about a wide variety of cryptids and conspiracies, then I recommend buying the paperback so you can get all the stories from all the authors that were accepted into that anthology. I highly recommend it. Both of these anthologies were published by Crow's Feet Journal, so they should come under Amazon if you put in the full title and Crow's Feet Journal. A related question from Fanatic is, what is your favourite cryptid? And I do have to admit that it is the Black-Eyed Children, which I wrote about in the short story that was in the anthology. I not only love them because of the dolls and that they are so creepy, but there are so many true stories of people who've seen them. So I think that I find that the scariest part of them is that they very well could be real. That many people can't be making it up, and I very much believe in the supernatural. And yeah, I would be terrified if they came up to my door. So the story that features them in this anthology is called Wolves in Sheep's Clothing. But I have another one that was actually featured first in the anthology, which made me so happy. I read this out in Eunice's video, and I made a wee cover for it, Space Invaders. And that's actually inspired by true accounts from my sister and my mum. And the black-eyed children are in wolves in sheep's clothing, which I made this cover for as well. And I read out in the doll video for Eustace. Another related question from Sharoni. Will you do more characters from your stories? Absolutely. I plan on making dolls for every single one of my stories as a reward for getting through drafts. And I guess it also helps marketing, but mostly I find it so much fun. I'm even going to remake a doll of Teketeke, which is the main character from my novella, Scratch, and she was really the first doll that I technically made, and you can tell, I mean, you can see where I used super glue to put the eyelashes on, and it's gone all white and a bit icky. She's also got scratches all over her face from when I boiled her hair flat, but I'd already done her face up, so the synthetic hair actually stuck to her face and caused damage, which is fine because she's a horror doll and she needs to look a little bit banged up. But I'm also curious to see how much I've improved since then with her being my first doll. So yeah, I kind of plan on remaking her, but I want to make a combination of a Monster High doll and a ball jointed doll. So I don't have to sculpt her from scratch. I want to use basically the head, arms and body, but I want to make the body articulated on a ball joint. Because as you can see, she's got no movement whatsoever. Her head is so full of hair and glue that you can hardly move. But she also doesn't have a chest joint, which is a bit annoying because as a character, she's supposed to run on her hands, so she has to be able to sort of bend and look up, like she obviously can't do now. Picturing Samara from The Ring, she needs to be able to do something like that. And for that, she needs chest joining, and I'll probably use something like what I've done for Truly Scrumptious so far. I might steal one of her joints so that I can use it on Teketeke, and I want to be able to make her spine as well, because she has her spine hanging out, and that way if I join it like a ball jointed doll, her spine and her chest will be movable and posable. I don't know whether to do it for her arms because Monster High arms have quite good articulation, but yeah, if I can get that movement in the body just from cutting the doll in half and using Milliput and sculpting it and then adding the ball joint, I think she'll get a lot more mobility and will be far more posable than the one that I've got now, because she's not really well posable at all. So I just want to cut it out there, Dremel it, and just see what I can do, really. So it'll be interesting to do something a body modification that hardcore I've never done before. So I'm really looking forward to that. Another related question from Sarah A. Are you writing another story? I sure am. I'm trying to focus on the next one after Teketeke, which is going to be Hanako, Toire no Hanako-chan, which is about a vengeful spirit Hanako that haunts toilets, specifically on the 3rd floor. There's been a lot of different renditions of them, but mine's going to focus heavily on bullying. This is the blurb. Words scar, rumors destroy, bullies kill. It is said that if you go to the bathroom on the 3rd floor and knock on the 3rd stall and ask, "Are you there, Hanako?" she'll drag you down into the depths of hell. 60-year-old teacher Mrs. Madoka Harada doesn't even need to be on the 3rd floor. For decades, her bathroom door has been bolted shut, the wood splitting where an unseen force bangs on it from the inside. Bathrooms are no longer safe. Nowhere to hide, she's constantly haunted by the events 18 years ago at her old school, Humitsukure Elementary School, making her a target to her peers. They openly despise her, whisper behind her back, and laugh at the out-of-order signs she posts on the 3rd floor bathrooms. If only they knew how it all started, with a lonely little girl in her homeroom class who always wore red, old-fashioned clothes from the war, always did her homework and always tried to ignore the things her classmates said about her. According to the proverb, the nail that sticks up gets hammered back down. But what will happen if the nail decides to hammer right back? I've actually had the doll for Hanako set aside for years now. I was thinking of doing this Cave Club doll, but then when I got these bigger articulated dolls, I thought maybe she'd make a cute Hanako as well. But the more I think about it, the more I keep thinking the Cave Club doll will suit her character design more, This is an initial sketch that I did several years ago when I first wrote her, and while her hair will be cropped shorter now, and her outfit will be a bit more old-fashioned, I think this Cave Club silhouette will probably suit her more. This bigger articulated doll I think will probably work a lot better for the red light green light Squid Game doll. I don't know, what do you guys think? I really want to have like a built-in storage for my paintbrushes and everything that I can just easily grab, and so I got these pen holders and I want them slightly on an angle so that everything's easier to get. So rather than try and find something that's going to fit and maybe just risk it not fitting, I'm just going to DIY it myself out of cardboard. While I work on that, Frantic also says, do you prefer working on fashion dolls or BJDs? That's an awesome question. I actually don't own any BJDs other than the one that I showed on the Truly Scrumptious video that is a recast, so I haven't painted her yet. So generally I do prefer fashion dolls because I don't really have a comparison. I would love to try and do a face-up for a BJD, and I guess I'll know that once I make my own out of polymer clay. But if you also mean dolls with inset eyes versus the fashion dolls, I like them both, but I tend to prefer the fashion dolls because it makes their face-ups a lot more versatile. I have more control over the shape of the eyes and such, which you don't get with dolls that have inset eyes. But then at the same time, trying the stress of having to get the eyes drawn symmetrically is the bane of my existence. Once they're drawn and I have them symmetrical, I enjoy the face up, but it's just getting to that point first that I find a little bit stressful. But I think it's always worth it, and again, for that versatility, I do adore fashion dolls. I got this from Japan back in 2009 when I was in high school from one of their specialty manga shops. And I thought I'd lost it, so I'm so happy to have found it. What's your favourite horror movie and horror movie villain or monster? Ooh, that's a tricky one because I love Asian horror, Thai horror, Japanese horror, Korean, and I watch a lot of different types of movies. Spanish horror is great for atmosphere, and these are sort of gothic horror movies that I like. And then there's like Crimson Peak and The Witch Hunter. So I love so many different types of movies, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably say The Ring / Ringu. Now I really, after seeing this question, I got the urge to make Sadako from The Ring, like a combination of Sadako and Samara. I think that'll be really fun, and she is probably my favourite horror movie villain / monster because there's a bit of a trope with vengeful spirits is that once you find out how to appease them, everything's good and they're all happy and they can go off in peace. And I like how The Ring sort of subverts that because it questions whether she is evil or whether it is all just to do with trauma that her spirit just simply can't move on, and I love that duality in her. Right, these pink boxes aren't going to fit with my plan for the decor, so I originally wanted to paint them white, and spoiler alert, it doesn't work, it's sheer. So I get this sort of white stick-on vinyl, so I'm going to vinyl wrap them instead, which went a lot better than I thought. I was expecting it was going to be covered in wrinkles because I tend not to be great at this, but it turned out really good, so I'm super happy with how it came out. Although the cutout in the middle looks really bad. But at least it's got no wrinkles in it. To match the pen holders, I also got a timber vinyl to put around the entire thing so that all the decor is going to look the same, which I've never had in here, not even once. So I'm so excited for everything to look like super cohesive and matchy-matchy. But then this is also cheaper than getting new ones, and these have an insane amount of storage. All my paint fits in here much better, and so does all of my polymer clay BJD type stuff. Although I'm going to move some of this, I think the heat gun doesn't quite fit. I want to fit more in there later. So I might make like a tools drawer, and Truly can fit in here for now. But I really don't like those open holes, so I had to wait for some handles to arrive and I managed to find these sort of decorative wooden panels that I want to use to cover the holes, and then put a handle over top. I think it'll look a lot nicer, and all I have to do is paint them white. And they're so pretty. But much prettier in white. So I'm just going to hot glue those on. I covered them in white paint, but then I also went over them with resin so that they were a little bit shiny like the vinyl, and it worked pretty well. But that's another reason why this video took so long, is there were several moments where I was waiting for things to arrive, so that set things out a little bit. I made a wee template for the handles so that I could drill the holes evenly, because I'm not known for evenness. Whenever I had to draw parallel lines in art class, it never matched up. How long does it take on average to do one of your dolls from start to finish? Just curious, because they're so detailed. Let's see, the Black-Eyed Children took 3 days, but they didn't have outfits made. Enid I think she'll take overall about 4 or 5 months. So in general, I think other dolls will take anywhere between 2 or 3 months from start to finish, depending on their complexity. It also depends on my capabilities at the time, since I do get chronic fatigue. So I'd say once you put them all together, excluding all the breaks, they take an average of about 2 months. Because my health is so erratic, it does tend to take me a bit longer than most people to finish things. Another question from Frantic. Did anyone teach you to sew, or are you self-taught? I did sewing at high school, and my mum taught me a few things, but other than that, I'm totally self-taught, and I learned a lot from YouTube. Anything I'm not sure what to do, I just look it up there and learn it. This bottom drawer will be great storage to put the things that I bought for my book releases that I don't need to access a lot, like magnets, book cards. I keep these in my purse and hand them out to anyone who would like that sort of story, so then they can just scan the QR code and find it easily. I've got my author business cards, which have a QR code to download my newsletter, which I try and do every 3 months with writing updates. And then my creepy kitty cards, which again, I've got lots of, and I still want to be able to access them, but I tend to put things down here on the bottom drawer, so I don't need to access them too often. Have you thought about making doll collabs, like a horror doll collab? That is a great idea. I've honestly never thought about it, but the few collabs that I've done with other people have been so much fun. I guess if I were to do one, I'd just be a bit worried that no one would join. But I really should, especially a horror movie character doll collab. I will accept that challenge. Time to update my to-do signs. So we've got Enid's face up. Enid, I still have a few things to finish with her outfit, like her shoes. I need to glue on those little blue roses. And then I think I'll do the Squid Game doll next, and the All of Us Are Dead zombie. In saying that, since doing the voiceover, I have since finally watched K-Pop Demon Hunters, and I might be bumping a doll in straight after Enid, because I absolutely loved that movie, and I have a doll in mind that I think you guys will hopefully really, really enjoy. So I think I'll be squeezing that in next. And this is why, like, all of my lists are quite fluid. I'm quite happy to move things around, so if I do get the sudden inspiration for a particular doll, I'm quite happy to bump things down the list. I want to move away from printing references, so I got this lovely stand for my old phone so that I can look at references on there. And I finally have a place to put Enid when she's finished, where she can be on full display. now to put the dolls back where they belong. I haven't put them up since our ceiling caved in. I don't know why. And final question from Frantic. Which Monster High doll, no matter how rare and expensive, would you love to customize? Ooh, that's a tricky one. I would love to customize Skeleta. I've only got one at the moment, and I'm too scared to do anything with her because she's so rare and so expensive to me. And this one I got at an amazing price, and I think she's just got a beautiful sculpt. She obviously fits my horror genre. I don't know if one exists in the 17-inch high one, but if I could get a 17-inch one, that would be the best thing ever. And we're done. I hope you enjoyed this and that I answered all of your questions. It's so nice having such a clean and tidy workspace. Just maybe don't turn around and look at the bed. I've still got a lot of work to do behind the scenes as far as organising. You might see that I've added twinkle lights, and I didn't film it because I put them up at about 1 a.m. when the insomnia was insomniaing. If you have any more questions, feel free to comment below and I'll answer them as soon as I can, and I'll see you next time. Bye!